check this out. That is, that's some cool impact there, man. I mean, that had to hurt. Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome back. We are on the road today. It's Friday morning, crappy morning. It's been snowing all night, light snow, so salt trucks are out, roads are sloppy. But anyways, we're in the truck. We're heading to St. Louis. We're going to pick up a 14 F150. I hope it's as clean as it looks in the pictures. EcoBoost, 95,000 miles on it. The reason I'm buying this is looking at the marketplace research analysis, basically. These people are asking like 15, 17 grand for these trucks. I mean, I don't know if they're getting it, but they had to buy it now on this truck for 5,300 bucks with fees. I've got like just shy of 6,400 in it right now. It's hit hard in the rear. The frame is definitely hammered. The box is absolutely destroyed. Bumper's destroyed. I'll show you in the video here. And then, but from there, I was out of Jamie's shop, and Jamie has a box. He's got a complete truck out there, F150, that he bought to pull a Coyote out of for one of his projects. So basically, I'm going to work a deal with him for the parts of the truck. We're going to finish parting that truck out and fix this truck. I mean, technically, framework and bodywork is all I had to do to this. I shouldn't have to buy anything. I'm sure there'll be a couple trinkets, but basically I got a box, I got a tailgate, I got most of the rear bumper, I've got a complete cab if I need it, a complete frame if I need it, an axle if I need it. I've got it. He's got everything I need to fix this truck, and it'll use up some of his parts that are laying out back. So we're gonna run down, grab this thing. Like I said, the weather's cold, crappy, super windy, so we'll get loaded up and get heading back north again. So anyways, catch up with you in a minute. Well, it's a new day, and we finally got this thing unloaded. Weather's been pretty crappy lately, so anyways, check this thing out. She got some pretty cool body lines going on here. It took a rear end hit hard. I don't know by what, but it was pretty square, or whatever it was. But yeah, the hitch really took it. Obviously, the box side took her real well. Sucked her right in. It did get up into the cab right here. Looks like the main impact was right here. So, and I knew that going in. I'm thinking once this box is off, we can do a little body work there. Pull that back out. It's got some cool wheels on it called Soda, S-O-T-A. Never heard of them, but I don't know. We'll get them cleaned up, see how they look. Interior's okay, I suppose you could say. The driver's seat is broke from the impact. She's got a little rocking and rolling going on here. But we'll get to use, we don't need the whole seat, we just need the mechanism. So we'll find one of them in the junkyard. Back seat's fairly clean. A good detail on this truck's going to look pretty good. It does have rockers and cab corners on it. They're not completely rotted away like most of these trucks are. There are a couple bubbles. This side's clean. The other side's got a couple bubbles, but frame is good. Well, I'm sorry. Frame is not rusty. Frame is not good either. Let's go underneath and check the bottom of this thing out. The frame definitely completely rolled around. As you can see, the spring perch is completely buckled up into the spring. The springs are actually bent in a new position, basically, so the springs are junk. The axle and everything looks good. Obviously, the back bumper is junk. Trailer, everything back here is junk. We'll get that. Problem is, I don't even know how to start trying to get this tailgate open to get the box bolts out to get the box off this thing. But you can see that's pretty cool. That floor is buckled hard. It was a step truck. It's not going to be. But anyways, so yeah, this one's in on the frame machine. We're going to start tearing this apart, but I do have the parts truck out on the trailer that we're going to use to fix this truck. So I'm going to get that unloaded in here because I want to get started on that first. We're going to strip the parts off that we need, and then I want to get rid of the truck. So anyways, hang on. All right, here is our parts truck. Lovely as can be. Anyways, the box we're not using. We have a different box simply because, well, when I show you the front, you'll understand, but here's the front of the box. As you can see, it's pretty rough. It's laid into the cab pretty hard. Evidently, they were hauling something big back here when they came to an abrupt stop, evidently, as we can see on the front end here. And let me tell you, it's destroyed. I mean, I've seen some frames bend up, but this thing, I don't know if we can see in here or not, but that thing is a complete Z down in that corner. We'll get some better images once we get it torn apart, but here's the deal with this one. So Jamie bought this truck for the drivetrain. He wants the motor and the transmission out of it and the transfer case. Wiring, computer, stuff like that. Gonna do a coyote swap in a different vehicle, okay? So he bought this truck for that purpose. The rest was junk. So I got a deal worked out with him that I'll pull everything out that he needs. I get to keep what's left of the truck for what I need. Now obviously if he needs stuff, he's more than welcome. It's still his truck, but basically trade for labor. I get all the back parts I need, plus he has another box out there that we're going to use. So off this truck I need the tailgate, I'm going to need obviously the rear frame section, I'm going to need the leaf springs, and I know the bumper looks like it's junk, but these pieces actually just bolt on. So unbolt that one, throw them away. The frame is actually still good, just this little piece of tin bent up here. I can hit that with a hammer. Remember, we're not making a show truck here. We got a 13 F150 with 95,000 miles on it. We're gonna make a nice truck, but it's an 11-year-old truck today, and it's only gonna get worse from there. So like I said, this truck is pretty much free, or it was free. So with that being said, let me make an agreement with everybody. If you haul a trailer with your truck, and for some reason you put your tailgate down, let's say to get a spare tire out of the back so you can put it on the front of a smashed up blue F-150, put the tailgate back up before you move the trailer. Obviously I learned this lesson the frickin' hard way. There and there, and that's aluminum. There ain't no fixing that. It's frickin' junk. So my free truck, it ain't free no more. Whatever. I've been hauling trailers for frickin' 30 years. Never done it. That was my first time. But yeah, ran right into the jack, twisted that thing up. Luckily, didn't hurt the trailer at all. Which the tailgate, I can get a used tailgate right now for 700 bucks. Black in color with the spray and basically just bolted on and it's done. And that's probably what we're gonna do. I can buy one cheaper, but by the time I paint it, have a bed liner done, buy all the trinkets, the Ford oval, blah blah blah, it'll be well over 700 bucks. So like I said, this thing's an 18. It ain't no show truck either. So, but yeah, it jammed right into there, but luckily didn't bend the trailer. Anyways, we didn't damage the trailer, just hurt my feelings a little bit. But anyways, we're gonna so this truck again, it does not run, obviously. It does roll. We finally did get the brakes release, but it does not steer at all. The rack is completely destroyed and it will absolutely not turn at all. So we're gonna do some finagling here with the tractor, get this thing shoved into the garage, and then we're going to basically blow this apart, pull the drivetrain out of it, get the parts off that I need, and get it back out of the shop. So I'm gonna get this thing inside and we'll get started on it. Well, obviously we got the cab and the box off. Didn't go quite as planned, but hey, it's not on the frame anymore. But check this out. That is, that's some cool impact there, man. I mean, that had to hurt. Exhaust is dug into the frame. Check the front drive shaft out. It pushed that front drive shaft back so far, right through the transfer case, blew the back of the transfer case completely apart. That's pretty cool. Well, it's a new day in the shop. Day after New Year's, actually, 2nd of January, and we are going to attempt to do something with this mess here. I need to get the box off, obviously, but the 2 bolts for the box are like right here. See them on the inside, maybe. Yeah, right down in there, and I can't get to them. So I got this thing chained down to the front of the frame machine, just to the tow hooks. I'm going to throw a tower on this tailgate. Basically, if I can get this tailgate open, it's almost off the pivot point here. If I can get done latch here, throw the tower on over there, I don't know. We're going to yank on some stuff and see what happens, I guess. As far as yesterday's motor and tranny is out, obviously. Transfer case is destroyed, like I showed. Not a big deal. He's got more. The oil pan has some damage, and the oil filter oil cooler is now Bluetooth. It is no longer connected to the engine, but that bracket bolts on, so he'll make something out of it. Not my problem. That's his problem. But anyways, we're going to get back on this thing here, see if we can get this tailgate open. This is one of those pulls where you don't want to stand behind that, because that's going to make it all the way to the garage door if this thing comes off. That side's unhooked. Okay. Yeah, actually came unlatched. That's a bonus. Takes pressure off it. Okay. What do you think? Keep pulling? I'm getting out of the way though. Jeez. Okay. Hey! So strong, I pulled it out myself. Okay, now what? Oh, yeah. Alright. Ah, Jesus Christ. Shit flying everywhere. Alright, I need to disconnect the wiring. It can't fall because it's got the straps, so it's not going to totally fall and smash me in the head. I can see the bolts. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's just going to hit the ground here. I don't really want to be holding on to it. That'll do it. As far as the box bolts, this is a 5.5 foot box. There's 6 bolts, 4 up front, 2 in the back. And the thing to know about these stupid Fords, and I'm a Ford guy, so take that how you want. The nut certs that are in the frame, these are a T50 Torx bolt, but the nut certs that are in the frame do not have threads in them originally. when the factory runs these bolts down through, it cuts the threads down into the nutsert and basically locks absolutely solid. And I've already broke one T50 Torx on the blue truck. I went to Lowe's to warranty it. They politely told me to shove it up my nickname because they didn't have any and they didn't know when they were going to have any. They have one on order. It's been on order for, he said, like 9 weeks. So one T55 Torx. So I have one more T50 Torx in my set that I'm going to try to salvage all 6 of these bolts out of here. So I'm going to put some heat on them. Unless the nutsert spins inside of there, and then you're not getting it out. Well, that wasn't so bad. Front 4 bolts come out super easy. This one obviously fought us a little bit. Basically, I just went in there and welded the nut back to the nutsert so it can't spin. That one there, we ended up having to cut off underneath. It's so bent, there's no way it's going to twist. But there's a few ways to get these box bolts out. Like I said, from Ford, the nutserts do not have threads in them. When this bolt goes in, it cuts the threads down through and locks it solid, so it basically doesn't come loose. I'm not saying you can't get them off with a breaker bar, but it's tough. And impact is obviously the way to go. This truck is not rusty. I mean, I know it looks rusty back here, but it's been sitting like this. These are not rusty, so they actually came out fairly nice. As far as removing them, it's a T50 Torx, like I said. If you strip that out or break your Torx or whatever and you can't get it, I'll tell you, the last thing you want to do, in my opinion, last thing you want to do is cut the head off of this bolt. What I do, if I strip the Torx out, I literally take a 3/4 inch nut and I weld it onto the top of that and then put a 3/4 inch socket on it, pull it out that way. If the nutsert spins in the frame like this back one did, then you have to go in there and weld it back together or chop it out of the way or try to get a wrench in there and get a wrench on the nut itself. The front 2 bolts, or the middle 2 bolts, are inside the frame. You can't get to that nutsert. So, like on the blue truck, that bolt did not come out. The nutsert was spinning, there's no access to it. So the only thing you can do at that point is cut the head off the bolt. The problem with that is on these bolts, this section right here is fatter than the rest of the bolt. So when you cut the head off of that and then try to pick the box up off of it, that little fat section right there won't go through the box. It'll lift up about 2 inches and get stuck. Now, something like this, we don't care. Probably just threw the frame machine on it and took it off our way, right? But if you're trying to save your box, that's not the way to go. So what you have to do, the only way I know to do it correctly, anyways, is cut the head off, all right? Get all the bolts out you can, cut the heads off the bolts that you can't get off, and then lift the box up 1.5 inches and then go under the box above the frame, because now the bolt is exposed and you can chop the bolt off. Once the bolt's cut off, then you can lift the box off, then you can get the nutsert out, then you basically just go to Ford and buy new ones. So last thing you want to do is cut the head off. That's the last resort. So anyways, box bolts are off. We need to disconnect taillights, the vent for the rear axle, and the filler neck, and then this thing's ready to come off. Problem with that is I don't know how I'm going to get it off of here. I don't know if I mentioned that this truck barely runs. It's got a fuel issue. I'm assuming they smashed the fuel tank when they loaded it. We're going to find out here as soon as we get the box off anyways, but basically it barely runs if it runs. So trying to back it back off of here, which is what I'd like to do, is probably not going to happen. So I got to figure out a way to get the box off while it's on the frame machine. If that doesn't work, then I'll pull it off the frame machine somehow and then pull it back on with a winch or something. But right now, the truck won't stay running. It barely starts. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Anyways, we're going to get those disconnected, and then we'll figure out how we're going to get the box off. So hang on. Kind of hoping to save this, but I don't think it's gonna happen. Nope, not happening no more anyways. Yeah. Winner. Okay, back to it. Well, we got the box off. We did scratch the back of the cab a little bit right here, but it's got to get painted anyways. So it's got a dent right here. So we're gonna paint that anyways. Both sides. Obviously, the left side is damaged. Show you that a little bit now that we got the box off. Basically, the box came in right here, folded this over tightly. So basically, we're going to people love when I say that 100 times. So what we're going to do is clean this up. We're going to weld some tabs on here, and then basically just hook the frame machine to it. We're going to grab it here, here, and here in multiple spots, obviously. Walk that back out a little bit. See what happens. This is one thing at a time, you know. Open that door gap back up. As far as the frame, yeah, she's hammered, which I knew it was. You can see this kinked fairly well. From here forward on the left side, I don't see anything wrong with any of that. The right side, obviously junk here, but it did buckle right here by the tire, so I think we're probably just going to end up doing a clip in this area, and we'll just clip it on both sides, and we'll put some steel on the outside to re-support our repair. Problem I have right now is this spring here is obviously junk, and I need to get that off somehow. I'm just assuming that's under a lot of pressure, and I don't know how easy that's going to come off. So I'm going to pull the bolt out of it. We'll put the frame machine on to lift the back end up to hold the weight of it. We're going to have to drop the fuel tank out of it to get the spring out. Basically, I want to get this one, I want to get the back of this frame cut off roughly, get everything ready to go, and then we'll pull the parts frame in tomorrow, start making our measurements and our marks, decide what we're going to do. Cut that frame, cut this frame, put it back together, tack it, check it, weld it, measure it, hit it with a hammer a couple times as usual. It's just fun hitting stuff with a hammer. And then burn her up, throw a spring back in it, and then we're going to address the fuel issue as far as why it's not running, but we'll get to that one thing at a time. So I'm going to get the spring off. Yeah, she's got some pressure on it. And I think for the most part. I need to take out a we're just going to make 2 cuts around this cross member here and get El Bento out of the way. So let's just do that. Alright, that's much gooder. I got some room to work. Get this bent up crap out of the way. So, next problem. Okay, so we need to get this leaf spring out, right? You can see it's bent. That's pretty cool. Anyways, Ford was thinking here. This is the bolt for the front spring. Comes in this way. That's the fuel tank. So you can't take the bolt out. So basically we need to drop the fuel tank enough so we can basically lower it down and slide it over towards the drive shaft maybe, or drop it completely to the ground, because like I said, I need to get the sending unit out of it. I'm willing to bet it's junk, but we'll get to that. So I'm going to work on that. I'll let you know when we get there. Try to get this retainer loose here. How do you think that comes out there? Should spin, right? There she goes. Okay. So like I said, what I think happened is they picked this truck up with the big old forks on the end loader and they smashed the fuel tank, which bends everything inside, because I have a code for the fuel level sending unit being out of range or something. Oh, jeez. Oh yeah, it's all kind of bent crap. And that's not even plugged in, whatever that is. Okay, we're gonna drop the tank a little further. So let's see what we got here. Yeah. That's the seal, we need that. Yeah, nothing's even plugged in. I don't know how this thing ran. I mean, it ran a little. Alright, so we're going to, obviously we're going to get a new one of those ordered. And that's kind of what I wanted to get to tonight, to find out what I needed to make this thing run. Because it ain't no fun pushing these things around by yourself. So I'll call Ford tomorrow, get a new one of these ordered. And then basically I'm going to cut this off right now and put the cover back on there so it's the hole's plugged up so we don't blow my house up. Okay? Well, it's a new day. Actually, it's a new evening. It's Friday night. The day kind of got away from me. Had to take Jamie's motor back out to him, that Coyote, get rid of that. Picked up the box for this thing because I'm going to need it next week to fit this frame. And other than that, we got the parts chassis back in here. We did get the spring out of the left side. We have it back in this truck so I could put the fuel tank back in. We did find a sending unit for it. Evidently, it's the only one in town. So yeah, that's in. Everything works. The truck started right up, so that's a plus. So it's now totally mobile, except for the whole frame missing section here. So what we got going is when I do these rear frames on these F150s, this is basically my go-to. Basically, it's 2 1/4 inches wide cut is what it's going to be, and we're going to Z-notch it through the center. So basically it's going to weld down through here, across here, and down here. That way it distributes the weld area across more surface area. Going to make it a stronger repair. So I got both sides measured and marked on both sections of the frame. And for now, I'm just going to drop this edge straight off here, get this frame cut off. I'm going to get my notches done, get them ready to go, and then we'll get this section fit up to that section somehow or another with a bunch of ratchet straps that will on the back. And then get it tacked in, do some measuring, kind of go from there. So I will get this done and check back in a minute. Well, it took a little while, but we got our notches done. I think this side is actually really nice. It's not quite butted up exactly where it needs to be right now, but it's close. But it's the same thing as usual. I get this side set, the other side moves. I get that side set, this side moves. So this side's actually really nice, level like it needs to be as far as straight down the frame. I did take measurements off the old frame before I cut that apart, so I know my triangulated measurements plus the straight length back from the shock mount to the end of the frame. This side over here, not so good. I'll tell you what, before I go any further with this, I'm going to tack this other side and then so it doesn't move, and then I'll show you what's going on the other side. So hang tight. So that side's tacked up. I mean, I'm really happy with how that turned out over there. This side over here, if you remember, this original frame was buckled like right here, but I was trying to stay out of this mess here, so I tried to do it right in front of the buckle, I guess. But the frame must still be damaged, because you can see how offset our old frame is from our new frame. I can get my finger in there. Same thing on the inside. Basically, this whole frame section I think is over and twisted. I've got this strap on right now, and I've got quite a bit of pressure on that right now, because it was worse, but it's better. We're within a ½ inch, but still I got to get within a 1/16 for me to be happy. So I think that is going to be it for today, though. It's 8 o'clock and I'm kind of done with this thing for the week. It's Friday. This thing will be here Monday morning. It ain't going nowhere. So we're gonna wrap this one up. Next video, basically we're gonna throw the frame machine on this thing, get jiggy with it somehow or another, strap this thing down so I can walk that frame back over a ½ inch. Worst case, we'll put some heat to it, pull it, hit it with a hammer. You know how much I like hitting things with a hammer, so we'll get it, just not today. So we'll get that frame finished up next week, and then we'll work on a little bit of body up there in the corner, a little bit of body work, get that tugged out, and then from there, pretty much put it back together, get painting parts. So anyways, thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate it, and we'll talk to you next week.